Yes, I did it. I did it. 1 year celibacy, 1 year of brahmacharya, 1 year of semen retention is complete. Now, was it easy? Hell no, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. But was it a breeze? Yes, it was. Because I stayed busy, doing things constructively that kept my mind busy. I stayed productive, proficient. Started really mastering myself, focusing on myself, not worrying about the outside world, keeping my mind away from certain distractions. Started working out, yoga, Pilates, and certain things that, had me master my goals. Master myself and master certain things that I knew if I would do this, I wouldn't even have the thought about like masturbating. You know what I mean? I started doing like, male Kegels. I started reading certain things. I started jotting down notes. And I never really worried about the days either. I didn't even count down the days. I stopped smoking weed. You know what I mean? I just stopped doing certain things that I know if I possibly would do it, I would go back to square one. I wasn't really, trying to link up with women. I was actually speaking to women that actually was helping me through the process. Like I started talking to God more, I started speaking to him in spirit, even when I was feeling down, everything that I was doing, it was more so for me to put myself in positions which I knew I would do. But before then, I did, back in 2022, I did 155 days. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, I could have did a year of, semen retention. I could have done it. But now I did it, and that felt like a breeze because I was just doing so many things, to distract me from things, from quick fixes. All those quick fixes that I used to do, I don't do those anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm going to be honest with y'all. Before I did a full year, I was doing my daily routines, but I wasn't really consistent with it. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing certain things that made me feel like I was going to do it consistently. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm going to be honest with y'all, 100% honest with y'all. Doing 1 year semen retention, it makes me feel like, I'm a continuously do it. I'm not gonna be like no fap. I never really believed in no fap. I really just believed in semen, like retaining your seed. That no fap shit, like, don't get me wrong, it's still good. But like, if you thinking that, you just gonna do like no fap and get all these women, no, that's not how it works. It's never how it works. But I can say it's not a placebo effect. Like, it's not a placebo effect at all. Like, doing this shit, you're gonna like have a lot of things gravitate towards you. I put this on my soul. People, day by day of doing this, like after I did a month and then like 6 months, like through that process, I felt like it coming on. Like, I felt like people was just coming up to me, like it just asking me like random questions, like like the simple things, like, because I don't normally stay inside all the time, but when I need to recharge, I go out to the park, I do my normal routines, you know, but there's, it's like the normal thing, like people ask you for directions, you know, people ask you, you know, the time. But then again, you know, I started like really speaking to people that can help me, you know, like gravitate my life, elevate my life, levitate to my higher self. Started talking to God more. Started like, you know, making like YouTube shorts. You know, this year alone I had 17K. You know, now it's at 18K views. If you look at my shorts, I have a lot of videos past the 500 view mark. You know what I mean? And it's a blessing because I'm near the highway. Don't mind that. But yeah, I'm doing so much things now that's keeping my mind busy, and I'm not even worried about like, or even caring about, you know, masturbating and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Mainly, you know, I'm mastering sexual transmutation. You know, and if y'all know what that is, y'all have to look that up. Like y'all have to. Like don't be a victim to your own satisfaction. Like don't. Yeah, like don't be a victim to your own satisfaction. Don't be a victim to your desires. You know, those quick fixes. I'm telling you this right now. You know, there's people that I speak to. You know, and they still, you know, do certain things that they're not proud of. You know. And I asked them, I'm like, yo, all right, so when you do this, how do you feel afterwards? You know, I always thought about that. Like, every single time that I'm like, oh no, I'm about to do something. Let me do some push-ups or something. Let me do some pull-ups. Let me do some yoga. Let me do my male kegels. I always thinking about that. Like, let me write this down. Let me take a walk. You know what I mean? Because that's what sexual transmutation is. If you translate all your cravings, all your quick fixes, and everything that you're doing, and do something constructive daily, you could do this 1 year, semen retention. You know, don't get me wrong, it's not for everybody. No, it is for everybody. You can do it. You can do it. You just gotta stop falling victim to your own lust and your own desires. Like, you got to stop doing that shit. Because once you stop doing that, you're gonna elevate, and you're gonna you're gonna manifest so much things. Like, it's a beautiful thing knowing that you can do this and like still elevate your chakras. Like, yo, I have so much things that I need to accomplish. But once I feel like that lustful craving starts to kick in, I'm like, nah, let me edit some videos on YouTube. Let me create this short. Let me do some yoga, Pilates. Cause yo, I'm actually a year and a couple weeks in this, because I started like right before July 4th last year. You know what I mean? And I sort of kept it a secret. You know, I hinted at, you know, making a video about like, you know, 6 months in, you know. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna just make a video in 1 year. I'm gonna just let my actions speak. Because once I do this, I know for a fact that I'm gonna accomplish certain things within it. That's why I've been so busy. I know I apologize for not making videos, but I've just been so locked in on myself. I've just been like in the mode of just growing and evolving and manifesting certain things that I had to manifest. Because, you know, I turned, you know, 32. You know, and if you're watching this, it's today. You know, I'm making this video a day before. But yo, I did so many things, and don't get me wrong, I'm gonna say this too, because I'm gonna make this video 15 minutes long. I do have guilty pleasures. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not perfect at anything that I'm, doing up until, I fix my flaws. I still got flaws, in my guilty pleasures. And at the same time, I don't want to be perfect. I don't want to be none of that. I don't want to be, because when you meet someone that's doing their best to be perfect, you can see so many flaws in them. You can see so many different flaws within their character, within the people that they're around, how they conduct themselves, how they just do certain things. And you're like, yo, bro, you're so, and you too, sis, you're mad flawed. You doing your best to be perfect is your biggest flaw. Because you can't do everything. Like, you know what I mean? That's why every time that I speak to the Most High God, I say, yo, God, everything that I can do, I'll leave it all to you. I'll leave it all to you. Every single thing that I cannot do, I'll leave it in your hands. Because I ain't gonna lie, I do have guilty pleasures, you know what I mean? And I go back to talking to God, like, Most High, you see how I am. I got guilty pleasures, but, I'm fighting through it, though, Don't get me wrong, I still... Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, I'm doing my best to be as honest as I possibly can be. Like, I still watch porn here and there, but it's not on some crazy shit. Like I can't watch like men like fucking another woman. Like, that shit, I think that shit is crazy. If you're watching porn and like people like men and you watching men and women like fuck, I think you may need some help. Like, you know what I mean? Or you may need some help. Like, no lie. Like, you need to find something constructive to do to watch other people fuck all the time. Because, I know y'all heard of this word gooning. And I know y'all heard Kyrie Irving say, don't let your gooner thoughts win, man. And don't get me wrong, it is hard at times. It is hard because I be playing Marvel Rivals, and I be playing, I be watching, women, but I always go back to sexual transmutation. I'm not gonna fall victim to my own lust, and I know for a fact that I'm gonna master certain things that I feel like I'm already practicing and mastering now. But I always go back to talking to the Most High. I'm not a semen retention guru. I'm not a person that knows all about, controlling your sexual urges, but I do know more than a few. I know how to do certain things that the average man doesn't. Just keep yourself busy. Occupy your mind. Whatever hobby that you feel is making you feel good about yourself, and that's gonna help you, be a better person. Just continuously do that. Work out, develop a relationship, possibly going to the gym. Mainly important with the Most High God, with yourself. And just don't be a burden to yourself. Don't be a burden to yourself. Because I'm not gonna lie. Everything that you're doing for the long run, that's gonna make you be your higher self, the Most High God, He's gonna reward you at the end. I promise you. Don't ever let up. Don't fall victim to societal standards, social media, gooning. Don't fall victim to none of that. I'm gonna possibly make a part 2 to this, but happy Earth Day to me, happy solar return to me. I did this as a breeze, but it was not easy. Keep your mind busy. Assalamu al-barakat. That's Arabic, and that stands for peace and blessings. And I love y'all dearly. I'm gonna make videos when I can. Nothing is promised. And I love y'all dearly yet again. Y'all stay safe and blessed. Assalamu al-barakat.